It's Christmas Eve, the day Santa makes his trip around the world. And since he'll be up to his rosy red cheeks in toys, I think that makes a fine segue into this brief look at some of the most popular items on children's wish lists in years past. In 1958, Alvin of Ross Bagdasarian's Chipmunks famously whined about how he wanted a hula hoop.
Me, I want a hula hoop.
It seemed like a lame thing to modern ears, but indeed, when the Wham-O Toy Company released their plastic version of these toy fitness rings in the summer of that year, they immediately flew off shelves, selling an estimated 80 to 100 million by the end of that year. Wham-O didn't have a patent on the product, only a trademark on the name, so the market was oversaturated with competitors. However, Wham-O improved the product in 1965 by adding ball bearings to the inside of the tube, giving it that familiar swoosh sound that we remember today. In 1977, George Lucas unleashed a little space opera called Star Wars to an appreciative audience.
Golly!
In what has become a legendary tale of wait-and-see improvisation, toy manufacturer Kenner decided to hold off on making any action figures in case the movie did poorly. The movie, in fact, did not do poorly, to say the least. And with a sudden demand for action figures and no time to make them for that year's holiday season, Kenner came up with an ingenious plan. They sold an empty box.
These action figures are not yet available, but this Star Wars Early Bird Certificate package is in stores.
For $7.99, parents could get their kids an IOU kit that came with a mail-in certificate and would later double as a display for the new figures. The plan worked. Kids had something Star Wars under the tree, and Kenner had a successful holiday season without having to rush a product to the market. In 1978, art student Xavier Roberts, after perfecting the German technique of needle molding, began offering his line of handcrafted little people up for adoption. A licensing agent took notice and in 1981 suggested he change the name, as Fisher-Price already owned the Little People trademark. The dolls, now renamed Cabbage Patch Kids, were shopped around to many toy companies before Coleco expressed interest. Coleco redesigned the dolls with plastic heads and packaged them in fancy boxes complete with birth certificates. And when they hit store shelves in time for the holiday season of 1983, it seemed that everyone wanted one.
When the doors opened at this Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania store, the pushing and shoving began. One woman was knocked to the floor and suffered a broken leg.
Demand far outweighed supply. Riots broke out in stores across the country as desperate parents fought to get that precocious doll under the tree. The toy that was retailing for $21 was consistently selling for $40 and $50, oftentimes more on the second-hand market.
Cabbage Patch Kids are each sold separately. Each doll comes with a pretend birth certificate and adoption papers from Coleco.
While the frenzy for Cabbage Patch Kids never reached the insane peak it hit in 1983, the toy remained fairly popular throughout the 80s, even surviving Coleco's eventual bankruptcy as it seamlessly switched hands to Hasbro. Meanwhile, that dark period in holiday retail history served as the inspiration for an Arnold Schwarzenegger holiday movie 13 years later. Of course, there were several more toy crazes over the years. Tickle Me Elmo, Furbies, the Nintendo Entertainment System, LOL Surprise Dolls. Were there any toys you remember wanting but had a hard time getting because of the insane demand? Or is there anything you're trying to buy your own kids now that is just impossible to find? Let me know in the comments. But in the meantime, don't forget to leave the milk and cookies out, and I'll see you tomorrow.
World's biggest toy store is Toys R